Today, I took on Freemasonry, and I'd like to read you their reply. I posted the post you saw regarding yesterday's show, and this is something I got. Christopher C. said, "Sir, I am a Freemason, and the lies you are spreading are disgusting. We do more to help our country and communities than you could possibly imagine. Please stop with your false accusations because you have no idea what you are talking about, and it's people like you that have given us a reason to stay secret. It's your character and your lack of knowledge and lack of integrity that will keep you from ever knowing who we are and what we represent." Turn it up. Another awesome show. I have been inspired by the enemy themselves, those who think they do God's will but do not, those who think they are holy and are not, those who have birthed this thing called socialism, those who are involved in Freemasonry and are asleep. I'll be right back. Folks, this episode of The Deacon is brought to you by Noble Gold. Noble Gold. And they have an awesome offering this month from Labor Day, or from Memorial Day, sorry. Use the code word deacon and get $5 off the silver coin. And if you like that gold bar, or that silver bar, that I've been showing you, use the code word deacon30 and get $30 off of the combo, the set of 2 silver specials. This is a $239 value, and you can get $30 off. You get this silver bar and a Trump coin. Use Deacon30 and get $30 off. All right. Now we're talking. Got a little issue here on my sound. So you got to understand, a lot of initiates into the modern Masonic Lodge have absolutely no idea what they are involved in. And they usually stay at the lower levels and are never told the true aim and goal of Freemasonry. And I hope that there are Freemasons here. And if you can listen and not interrupt and be like a troll, you won't get banned. Listen, because I am going to read from your own library. In fact, if you're interested in any of the books that I'm referencing today, and for the next several shows, I have some links in the video description. Yes, we know that QAnon has mentioned these Masons and said their symbols will be their downfall. I am going to be reading from a very old book from their library called The Builders. The Builders. And let's see when this is copyrighted. This is from, Sean, this doesn't represent us, all right? Oh, it doesn't. So The Builders, A Story and Study of Masonry by Joseph Fort Newton, Grand Lodge of Iowa. Grand Lodge of Iowa. And the copyright on this is, if they put it, first one is 1914. And it was republished, 8 times it was republished. And the last time it was republished was in 1924. So this is a very important book to the Mason and his lodge work. And when you understand Masonry, folks, you'll understand exactly what is happening with Nadler and these Democrats and what happened today. This is just a show, folks. They can hold him in contempt, bar in contempt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I guarantee you, the Justice Department, Trump, all of them, they already have lawsuits going. It's already going to go to court, and it is going to fail. It's going to be shot down. This is just, it is the manipulation of the narrative, of thoughts that are in the American mind, because they hate our president. Gregory Brown says, trust me, you offend the lodge, they come for you. William Morgan, look him up. William Morgan. But I am all over the internet. They can come for me, and if I am gone, you will know that the witness of Freemasonry is true, that I am going to deliver if they come for me. Let them come. The foundations of Freemasonry. But first I want to show you this. Deuteronomy 4:39. Acknowledge today and take to heart that the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth beneath. There is no other. And we are talking about the Bible, the God in the Bible, Yahweh, not Jehovah. They call him Jehovah. It is not Jehovah, but Yahweh. 2 arts have altered the face of the earth and given shape to the life and thought of man: agriculture and architecture. Of the 2, it would be hard to know which has been the more intimately interwoven with the inner life of humanity, for man is not only a planter and a builder, but a mystic and a thinker. For such a being, especially in primitive times, any work was something more than itself. It was a truth found out. In becoming useful, it attained some form, enshrining at once a thought and the mystery. I lost my place. Our present study has to do with the second of these arts, which has been called the matrix of civilization. The matrix of civilization. What I say? 1914. The matrix of civilization. When we inquire into origins and seek the initial force which carried art forward, we find 2 fundamental factors: physical necessity and spiritual aspiration. Of course, the first great impulse of all architecture was need, honest response to the demand for shelter. But this demand included a home for the soul. not less than a roof over the head. Even in this response to primary need, there was something spiritual which carried it beyond provision for the body. As the men of Egypt, for instance, wanted an indestructible resting place and so built the pyramids. As Capert says, prehistoric art shows that this utilitarian purpose was in almost every case blended with a religious or at least a magical purpose. Now, I hope you listened to the show yesterday. It's on my other channel. And I explained that there were things that there are no words for, no words to understand or explain. And I tried to do that in the form of story. And we talked about magic and what real magic is to these people. I will continue. The spiritual instinct in seeking to create types and to set up more sympathetic relations with the universe. First of all, instincts are attributes of the animal, not the spirit. Right there, the spiritual instinct, he says. There is no instinct in the spirit, only the soul, only the body. In seeking to recreate types and to set up more sympathetic relations with the universe led to imitation, to ideas of proportion, to the passion for beauty, and to the effort after perfection. And folks, if you're bored with what I'm reading, you're just going to have to wait through it, because I can't just make assumptions and tell you things. I have to prove it. And I'm going to prove it with their own literature. Man has been always a builder, and nowhere has he shown himself more significantly than in the buildings he has erected. When we stand before them, whether it be a mud hut, the house of a cliff dweller, stuck like the nest of a swallow on the side of a canyon, a pyramid, a Parthenon, or a pantheon, we seem to read into his soul. The builder may have gone, perhaps ages before, but here he has left something of himself, his hopes, his fears, his ideas, his dreams. Even in the remote recesses of the Andes, amidst the riot of nature, and where man is now a mere savage. You must understand, ladies and gentlemen, that racism found its way into society through secret societies, through the KKK, which is just an offshoot of Freemasonry. And if you don't believe that, do your homework. Where man is now a mere savage. And in their words, profane. We come upon the remains of vast, vanished civilizations where art and science and religion reached unknown heights. Wherever humanity has lived and wrought, we find the crumbling ruins of towers, temples, and tombs, monuments of its industry and its aspiration. Also, whatever else man may have been, cruel, tyrannous, vindictive, his buildings always have reference to religion. They bespeak a vivid sense of the unseen and his awareness of his relation to it. Of a truth, the story of the Tower of Babel is more than a myth. The story of the Tower of Babel is more than a myth. Man has ever been trying to build to heaven, embodying his prayer and his dream in brick and stone. Masonry. And when you learn to study the Bible, as I have, when you learn the symbols, as I have, you will understand that the Tower of Babel, which still is there today, you just have to look it up. The ruins of it are still there today. You will understand that this temple, this star-gazing monument, was purely masonry. These were master masons who built the Tower of Babel. For there are two sets of realities, material and spiritual. Now, so this book right here is talking about a mason and what a mason is to believe. But it is also telling the mason what is inside of the heart of man. And we will explore that further later. For there are two sets of realities, material and spiritual, but they are so interwoven that all practical laws are exponents of moral laws. Such is the thesis which Ruskin expounds with so much insight and eloquence in his Seven Lamps of Architecture, in which he argues that the laws of architecture are moral laws, as applicable to the building of character as to the construction of cathedrals. He finds those laws to be sacrifice, truth, power, beauty, life, memory, and, as the crowning grace of all, that principle to which politics owes its stability. That politics owes its stability to Freemasonry. Life, its happiness, faith, its acceptance, and creation, its continuance, obedience. Obedience. He holds that there is no such thing as liberty. To the Mason, there is no such thing as liberty, and never can be. The stars have it not, the earth has it not, the sea has it not. Man fancies that he has freedom. But if he would use the word loyalty instead of liberty, he would be nearer the truth, since it is by obedience to the laws of life and truth and beauty that he attains what he calls liberty. Obedience to the laws of polity. Polity is the word politics. That's where it comes from. Polity. Throughout that brilliant essay, Ruskin shows how the violation of moral laws spoils the beauty of architecture, mars its usefulness, and makes it unstable. He points out with all the variations of emphasis, illustration, and appeal that beauty is what is imitated from natural forms, consciously or unconsciously, and that what is not so derived, but what but depends for its dignity upon arrangement received from the human mind. Received from the human mind. Expresses, while it reveals the quality of the mind, whether it be noble or ignoble. And he quotes the guy, all building, therefore, shows man either as gathering or governing. And the secrets of his success are his knowing what to gather and how to rule. These are the two great intellectual lamps of architecture, the one consisting in a just and humble veneration of the works of God upon earth, and the other in an understanding of the dominion over those works which has been vested in man. What our great prophet of art thus elaborated so eloquently, the early man forfeit by instinct, dimly, it may be, but not less truly. If architecture was born of need, it soon showed its magic quality. Its magic quality. You got to understand what he's meaning by magic quality. He has explained what architecture does to the mind. This magic that they speak of is the control of the masses by the polity, the governing. If architecture was born of need, it soon showed its magic quality. And all true building touched depths of feeling and opened gates of wonder. In who? In what? In people. In the savage. In the profane. No doubt the men who first balanced one stone over two others must have looked with astonishment at the work of their hands and have worshipped the stones they had set up. This element of mystical wonder and awe lasted long through the ages and still felt when work is done in the old way by keeping close to nature, necessity, and faith. This is their expression of the understanding of the mind of man and how to create wonder in man, magically control his thoughts about the building that he erected. And to a mason, as we will see, his body is a building that he is working to perfect. This element of mystical wonder and awe lasted long through the ages and is still felt when work is done in the old way by keeping close to nature, necessity, and faith. From the first, ideas of sacredness, of sacrifice, of ritual rightness, of magic, stability, or likeness to the universe, of perfection of form and proportion glowed in the heart of the builder and guided his arm. Wren, philosopher as he was, decided that the delight of man in setting up columns was acquired through worshiping in the groves of the forest. And modern research has come to much the same view, for Sir Arthur Evans shows that in the first European age, columns were gods. All over Europe, the early morning of architecture was spent in the worship of great stones. If we go to old Egypt, where the art of building seems first to have gathered power, and where its remains are best preserved, We may read the ideas of the earliest artist. Long before the dynastic period, a strong people inhabited the land who developed many arts which they handed on to the pyramid builders. We'll be right back. Folks, I don't have to tell you how great our president is. How great our president is. And you see this? This is a 1 ounce solid silver Trump 2020 Freedom coin. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 10 ounce solid silver United We Stand bullion bar. The craftsmanship on these is absolutely incredible. Why are we showing them? Well, May is the month of Memorial Day. And our good friends at Noble Gold have agreed to offer all patriots and Trump supporters an amazing deal on these to celebrate our president's exoneration in the Mueller report and his second year in office. As you can see on the coin here, on this coin right here, on President Trump's watch, we have had the first major tax reform in 30 years, the lowest unemployment rate for 18 years, the least jobless claim since 1973. And I think it even went down. It's in the 60s now, before Nixon was in office. Dow Jones, highest level in history. That's worth celebrating, folks. And by getting that Trump coin and getting this bullion bar, you are supporting free speech. Noble Gold supports free speech. Support this channel. The set of 2 silver specials come in just $239. And Noble Gold is offering a further $30 off as a Memorial Day gift. And they're even throwing in a Trump Pence 2020 bumper sticker. Oh, but Trump Pence isn't running with him. Watch. Use the link in the video description and get yours today. Use the code DEACON30 to get $30 off of the 2 silver specials. Or if you want to just get the Trump coin, there's $5 off the silver coin. And if you want to get the gold coin, use Deacon Gold and get $100 off of the gold coin. And folks, I suggested a Q coin, and it is coming. I'm not going to tell you when, but it is coming. Support this channel. Support the sponsor. Support freedom of speech. Go to the link in the video description, and don't forget to use Deacon. Don't forget to use Deacon as the promo code. Use Deacon as the promo code. Now, we shall continue. How are we doing in there? We hanging in there? How are we in there? Although only semi-naked savages using flint instruments in a style much like the Bushmen, they were the root, so to speak, of a wonderful artistic stock. Of the Egyptians, Herodotus said, they gather the fruits of the earth with less labor than any other people. With architecture and settled life came trade and stored up energy which might essay to improve on caves and pits and other rude dwellings. By the Nile, perhaps, man first aimed to overpass the routine of the barest need and obey his soul. There he wrought out beautiful vases of fine marble and invented square buildings. Square buildings. As we see, this exalted master is pointing to Egypt as the greatest in this art and the Genesis. At any rate, the earliest known structure actually discovered a prehistoric tomb found in the sands at Hierakonpolis is already right-angled. As Lethaby reminds us, modern people take squareness very much for granted as being a self-evident form, but the discovery of the square was a great step in geometry. Geometry means geometry, earth measurement. It opened a new era in the story of the builders. Early inventions must have seemed like revelations, as indeed they were. And it is not strange that skilled craftsmen were looked upon as magicians. Why? They were looked upon as magicians by the profane, by the savage, by you, the everyday man, by me, those who are not masons. If man knows as much as he does, the discovery of the square was a great event to the primitive mystics of the Nile. Very early, it became, that's the square, an emblem of truth, justice, and righteousness. And so it remains to this day, though, first of all, let me stop. You Masons in the chat, you're just chatting away. You're not even listening. You're not even listening. And you're going on about what you disagree with and what's going to happen to me. You are the ones who are profane. Get your head out of your rear and listen. Mason, son of the widow. And we'll get into that. Oh, trust me. Oh, trust me. The square became an emblem of truth, justice, and righteousness. And so it remains to this day, though unaccountable ages have passed. Simple, familiar, eloquent, it brings from afar a sense of the wonder of the dawn. Here we go. We have hints of the sun coming. And it still teaches a lesson which we find it hard to learn. So also the cube, the compasses, and the keystone. Each a great advance for those to whom architecture was indeed building touched with emotion. Emotion. On yesterday's show, I tried to demonstrate how a person's emotions are used in the organizing of coincidence, as showing what its laws are, the laws of the eternal. Maspero tells us that the temples of Egypt, even from earliest times, were built in the image of the earth as the builders had imagined it. For them, the earth was a sort of flat slab, more long than wide, and the sky was a ceiling or vault supported by 4 great pillars. The pavement represented the earth. The four angles stood for the pillars, and the ceiling, more often flat, though sometimes curved, corresponded to the sky. From the pavement grew vegetation, and water plants emerged from the water. There was a far withdrawn holy place, small and obscure, approached through a succession of courts and column halls, all so arranged on the central axis of the earth as to point to the sunrise. Before the outer gates were obelisks and avenues of statues. Such were the shrines of the old solar religion, the sun worshippers, so oriented that on one day in the year the beams of the rising sun are of some bright star that hailed his coming, little h, his coming, the light should stream down the nave and illumine the altar. His coming. It is talking about light. Clearly, one ideal of the early builders was that of sacrifice, as seen in their use of the finest materials, and another was accuracy of workmanship. Indeed, not a little of the earliest work displayed an astonishing technical ability, and such work must point to some underlying idea which the workers sought to realize. Above all things, they sought permanence. In later inscriptions relating to buildings, phrases like these occur frequently. It is such as the heavens in all its quarters, firm as the heavens. Evidently, the basic idea was that as the heavens were stable, not to be moved, so a building put into proper relation with the universe would acquire magical stability. It is recorded that when Il-Katan founded his new city, 4 boundary stones were accurately placed, and that so it might be exactly square and thus endured forever. Eternity was the ideal aimed at, everything else being sacrificed for that aspiration. Johnny Nonstop said Albert Pike and his letter and Morals and Dogma. Oh, trust me, we will get to it. Oh, we will get to it. And you will see that he names this light bearer that they worship Lucifer. How well they realize their dream is shown as in the pyramids. Of all monuments of mankind, the oldest, the most technically perfect, the largest and most mysterious. Ages come and go, empires rise and fall, philosophies flourish and fail, and man seeks him out many inventions, but they stand silent under the bright Egyptian night, as fascinating as they are baffling. An obelisk is simply a pyramid, albeit the base has become a shaft, phallic in nature, holding aloft the oldest emblem of solar faith. Solar, as in the sun, a triangle mounted on a square. When and why this figure became holy, no one knows, save as we may conjecture that it was one of those sacred stones which gained its sanctity in times far back of all recollection and tradition, like the Kaaba at Mecca. Whether it be an imitation of the triangle of zodiacal light, seen at certain times in the eastern sky at sunrise and sunset, or a feat of masonry used as a symbol of heaven. As the square was an emblem of earth, In the pyramid text, the sun god, when he created all the other gods, is shown sitting on the apex of the sky in the form of a phoenix. In the form of a phoenix, the supreme God. The supreme God. This exalted master mason, Joseph Fort Newton, Grand Lodge of Iowa, says that the phoenix is the supreme God, to whom two architects, Suti and Hor, wrote so noble a hymn of praise, white with the worship of ages. Ineffably beautiful and pathetic is the old light religion, L-I-G-H-T-religion, light religion of humanity, a sublime nature mysticism in which light was love and life. Lucifer is a light bearer, the light bearer. Luciferian means of the light. A Luciferian religion would be the worship of the light. A sublime nature mysticism. Nature, folks, nature, in which light was love and life, and darkness, evil, and death. For the early man, light was the mother of beauty, the unveiler of color, the elusive and radiant mystery of the world, and his speech about it was reverent and grateful. At the gates of the morning he stood with uplifted hands, and the sun sinking in the desert at eventide made him wistful in prayer, half fear and half hope, lest the beauty return no more. His religion, when he emerged from the night of animalism, was a worship of the light. Was the worship of the Luz, which is Greek for light, where we get the word Lucifer. His temple hung with stars, his altar a glowing flame, his ritual a woven hymn of night and day. No poet or day, not even Shelby, has written lovelier lyrics in praise of the light than those hymns of Ilkatan in the morning of the world. Memories of this religion of the dawn linger with us today in the faith that follows the day star from on high. The day star, folks, the sun, the day star from on high, and the sun of righteousness, and that's S-U-N. The sun of righteousness, S-U-N. One who is the light of the world in life and the lamp of poor souls in the night of death. Here then, you guys aren't even listening, just chatting away, debating amongst yourselves. Here then are the real foundations of Masonry, both material and moral. In the deep need and aspiration of man, listen to me. This is the secret. This is who you are. They study who you are and what causes you to wonder and what causes you to be amazed and what causes you to obey them. The polity, the government. In the deep need and aspiration of man and his creative impulse, in his instinctive faith, his quest of the ideal, and his love of the light, Lucifer, Underneath all his building lay the feeling, prophetic of his last and highest thought, that the earthly house of his life should be in right relation with its heavenly prototype. The word temple, imitating on earth the house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. If he erected a square temple, it was an image of the earth. If he built a pyramid, it was a picture of a beauty shown him in the sky, as later his cathedral was modeled after the mountain and its dim and lofty arc, the memory of the forest vista. Its altar, a fireside of the soul, its spire, a prayer in stone. And as he wrought his faith and dream into reality, it was but natural that the tools of the builder should become emblems of the thoughts of the thinker. The symbols. These symbols will be their downfall. It was natural that the tools of the builder should become emblems of the thoughts of the thinker. Not only his tools, but as we shall see, the very stones with which he worked became sacred symbols. The temple itself, a vision of that house of doctrine, that home of the soul, which, though unseen, he is building in the midst of the years. The light, ladies and gentlemen, is Lucifer. They are the light worshipers, Luciferian. You disagree with that? Do your homework. Folks, this is the Trump coin. This is the Trump coin. This official President Trump 2020 Freedom Coin is a celebration of all the accomplishments President Trump has achieved during his first term in office. This coin is available for a limited time as we support President Trump's promise to make America great again and prepare to re-elect President Trump in 2020 so he can keep America great. Go to the link in the video description. Use the offer code deacon and get $5 off each coin when you buy. Man, we're going to commemorate this guy, and we are going to be part of the most awesome time in history. Support this channel. Support freedom of speech. Support Noble Gold. Lucifer is the morning star. Lucifer is the morning star. He is the light. He is the light. He wanted to be God. Turn it up.